receive justice, because we know that the different stakeholders in this country that participate in ensuring that the rights of children are protected. So for judicial officers, it is mainly in the line of administering justice and making sure that children receive justice. So the moderator had already outlined what the Day of the African Child, how it came into be. And I'm surprised Uncle Sam said that he was not aware of this day. Is that so? I remember when I was in primary school, we used to celebrate this day. You go with a band marching on the roads, you know? Yeah, so this day has been there. I participated in it as a child during my primary school days. And what intrigued me about it is just its genesis was, the protest was about the poor quality of education, yes, but also the children or the students were saying, we want to be taught in our languages, meaning the local languages. I wonder how today we'll be communicating if this was what actually was implemented. Because I speak Lugbara, and so if I was taught in Lugbara, that means I probably would have never learned English. Then how would I have communicated with, you know, her or with Uncle Sam or with other, you know? It would have been difficult. But, well, that was it. So, like I said, I speak on behalf of Justice Olive. Now, what does, I'll give a background of Uganda Judicial Officers Association. We have a constitution that guides us, and our mandate basically is with regard to judicial officers. Advocating, lobbying for welfare of judicial officers, liaising with other judicial officers from internationally, because now we are members of EMJA, that is East African Magistrates and Judges Association. Then there's a Commonwealth Judges and Magistrates Association. And then we, like I said, we belong to judiciary, so we undertake to maintain and defend the independence of the judiciary. And then we also, we publish journals, judicial journals. I'm the editor of that journal, and quarterly we publish an e-line bulletin, although we print some copies. Basically talk about different activities that judicial officers are doing in the different parts of the country, and then we sometimes capture different, you know, cases that capture people's mind and discussions. We capture them in those journals. So with that in mind, what is the role of a judicial officer in ensuring that children's rights are protected, they are promoted, and they're respected? I know that my colleague panelist is going to talk about juvenile justice. I think so. And I will just break down what I know that we do, but also given the theme that of the Day of the African Child, I'll briefly just go into the small things that have been done since 2010 to show that actually the rights of the children are being protected. Like I said, UJOA does not budget, but we do our part as judicial officers. So we know that we have the Children and Family Courts established under the Children Act, okay? And who runs these courts? It is the judicial officers. And what do the judicial officers do? They implement the provisions of these statutes. So that is the one way in which judicial officers are ensuring that the rights of the children are protected and promoted and respected. And then we've seen, even in these courts, most of the approaches used by judicial officers are children-centered, especially where there's a juvenile involved or where there's a child victim involved. So recently, there's Justice Deepa from PG. We saw her visit the remand, what's the name? One of these remand homes, I've forgotten the name. She visited the remand home and she bought them 2 TVs, and she, you know, committed to prioritize and fast track cases regarding juvenile offenders. So in as much as it's not the duty of an individual judicial officer, to undertake to do certain things like buying TV and all that, but that goes out to show that judicial officers are passionate about the rights of children. Whether you're a child victim or whether you're a child offender, your rights have to be protected, promoted, and respected. We saw in 2016 the judicature, the visual audio link rules come into place, which provided for having these facilities in different courts, and this was basically done to to protect child witnesses, because we know that in let's say for a defilement case, a child is going to be so scared to testify in front of the person that actually defiled her or him. But with this technology, it becomes a lot easier, because then it provides for a child being able to testify from from somewhere else, and the accused person may actually remain in the prisons and the child is testifying from the courtroom or in the chambers, something like that. And then we saw different courts being these facilities of technology being installed in different courts around the country. Yes, it may not be in every court. There are very few. But I know that the plan is there to make sure that at least all the high court circuits have these facilities. And I think last year, we had the magistrates, magisterial areas, and magistrates courts statutory instrument, number 11 of 2024, which increased the number of magisterial areas to 157. And under this instrument, they gazetted all the remand homes as magisterial areas. So what does this mean? That we are going to have a stationed magistrate at a remand home. Because previously, I used to be a state attorney for about 7 years, and we had a very big challenge when you have a juvenile offender. You have to, when there's a juvenile offender, getting the probation officer is a problem. I worked in a place called Moyo, and that meant Moyo is about almost 200 kilometers from Arua, and the remand home was in Arua, and about 100 kilometers of that distance is a very terrible Maram road, terrible. So who is going to provide the transport? It is not clear. It just becomes very difficult to transport these people, and that is how you realize that you end up finding juveniles in adults, which I know now doesn't happen, but we know that it used to happen. You find juveniles being remanded with adults in prisons. So with this innovation, I know that as long as the judicial officers at remand homes, that means juvenile cases are going to be fast-tracked. It just becomes very easy, because the congestion for children, especially in those remand homes, is not good. But there will be decongestion, there's going to be fast-tracking over these cases, and then children are able to go back and be integrated back into the communities. Because as a child, yes, you may have committed an offense, but you go back home, go back to school, go back to being a child of your parent. Also last year, Judiciary partnered with IDLO, that is International Development Law Organization, to decongest remand homes. This went on for about 2 months. So what they did was to fast track all juvenile cases, and that has seen a lot of decongestion in the remand homes. So yes, it was a partnership between a development partner and judiciary, but it is the judicial officers who implement these initiatives. And then as UJOA, the Uganda Judicial Officers Association, we hold monthly dialogues. It's called the UJOA Dialogue Series, which we hold every Wednesday of the first week of the new month. And last year around February, I think it was 19th of February, we had one of member of the bar, Council Winnie Adukule, who we invited, because usually what we do is to invite experts in pertinent areas to talk to judicial officers about, to discuss those pertinent topics. So we invited her because she is an executive director of an NGO called Free Child Uganda. And I think over my years in practice, I've seen her basically only handling juvenile cases. So we invited her for a 1.5 hour talk. And actually this dialogue, usually, you know, people are driving home because it's about 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. People are driving home, they don't log in. But this time it attracted over 100 participants online. What does that show us? That actually judicial officers are passionate about issues concerning children and their rights. So hopefully we shall organize another dialogue to discuss issues to do with children. And then we've seen a diversion of cases. I know that the law is, it kind of talks about police. It's the Children Diversion Guidelines for Police Officers, 2019. But we know that diversion happens everywhere, whether at the stage where the matter is still at police, or at the stage where the matter is still with the office of the DPP, or in the courtrooms. So I know for sure that many times there are these cases, you keep asking, why is it, you know, coming to court when this can actually be handled at the lower level? We have the LCs to handle these cases. We even have the probation officers to sort it out. So I know that judicial officers, I don't have the statistics, but I know judicial officers do a lot of diversion of cases. And this basically is to protect the rights of the children, because we know that children are intimidated by the courtroom. The courtroom, or even a judicial officer, especially now, let's say if it is a judge who is robbed in those things, a child is going to be intimidated. But if it's a case that can be diverted, we've seen judicial officers divert these cases. I know that ODPP has a handbook on prosecution of child-related cases. And I think when this handbook came into place, I was still a state attorney. And my experience then was that judicial officers will not divert from what the practice is when it comes to children, unless someone is uninformed. I don't expect anyway them to be uninformed, but judicial officers have implemented the best practices which are well laid out in this handbook, and so I don't know whether we receive so many complaints regarding judicial officers in relation to child-related cases, except for that case of Okello Moses, the juvenile, who was sentenced to death. Was it life imprisonment? To death. Yeah, it was to death. Yes. But the fact that, you know, this was quashed, it shows you that judicial officers are very sensitive to cases regarding children. So, like I said, I'm not speaking on behalf of judiciary, but as a judicial officer, I know that the institution I work for has, you know, made tremendous strides in ensuring that children are planned and budgeted for. That is why you see all these things that I'm talking about. They happen because there's a plan somewhere and there's a budget somewhere. When you go to the new Supreme Court and Court of Appeal buildings, you'll find, even when you enter the lift, there's something about children, okay? In the lift. When you enter, you see something about the children. When you go to, I think it's the 6th floor, we have children's spaces. There's a children's room there, a playroom, and then there's one for them to sleep, so that, let's say a child victim who has come to court can have rest, because these people are going to come from their homes early in the morning. They're telling you you're going to testify, but court is going to take, let's say, another 6 hours. So they have child-friendly spaces where they can relax, sleep, and they're offered something to eat and drink. So that the steps that judiciary has taken to ensure that these facilities are in place show you that the issue of children, the rights of children, is at the heart of the institution and in the heart of the judicial officers. I know that this is just not a bed of roses. There are always challenges. There are challenges. I don't want to say that I'll outline them, but I called one of my friends this morning. I said, oh, at about 9, I've been ambushed with this. And then she told me, just go. But you see, and she's a lawyer, she said, you see, children are suffering. I said, why? She said, children in the justice system are suffering, especially the juveniles. I said, why? He said, these juveniles do not have legal representation most of the time. And yet, in the lower courts, they have no legal representation, and yet you know that sometimes these children are not able to defend themselves. I said, okay, so what are you saying? And he told me, you know, we had the legal aid bill, it was thrown out, so we need something to be done about it so that, you know, the children are represented. So, and it's true that we've seen, you know, a juvenile offender in a magistrate's court, in the children and family court, not represented. So that is something to look into. Otherwise, I don't know if I've forgotten something, but I want to say thank you so much for having us. The president sends her regards, and she actually apologized. I should have stated that earlier. She apologized for not being able to make it. She had a very busy schedule, but the next invite, she will make the time to be here. Thank you. If there are questions, we'll take them. Okay. Then I need to go. Okay.
A round of applause once again. It is not often. Sorry. Yes. It is not often that we have magistrates before us speaking like this in a function that's organized by the judiciary. This is where we normally have them. We are so honored to have Your Worship Marlene. Thank you so much. My sister from the United States of Arua. I think we're now taking over. Is that okay? Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you once again for being with us. We don't take it for granted that you're here with us. Those physically present, the children, we are still together. Are we together? Are we together? Some energy. I don't hear you. Are we together? Are you tired? Do you still have more to show us? Are we together? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, those online and those physically present, this is the Uganda Law Society, and we are going to give you more than you expect. Your Worship, thank you for the wisdom. We know, of course, it's not so often that you move around speaking like this, but today you broke it down. We're so grateful. May the Lord bless you. We have left some action points, of course, that the ULS has taken note of, and we continue to pray that God can bless us in our collected effort as we work together to ensure access to justice in this regard for the children. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back, and we're going to have a little bit of a brain teaser and some little entertainment from the one and only children that are here with us. We are going to invite one of the school administrators is the director of studies around, and all the little boy who I spoke to. Where are you? Come and speak to the people. Come and speak to the people. Where are you? Come, introduce yourself. Tell the people who you are. Tell them what you love to do. Tell them the beautiful things about today. Your name?
Before I introduce myself, I would like to thank the previous speaker. My name is Severi Moda. I am coming from Good Times Infant School. I am representing my school because our head teacher is not around. I would like to thank all of you who are around, the speeches, the work done. I thank the judiciary, everyone who's around. I don't know much, but I would just like to thank you. Mainly what I wanted to talk about is, please, help the children on the streets. They need your help. We all need your help. But mainly, the ones on the streets. Thank you.
All right, the child has some confidence. Let's clap for him. Clearly, the education fraternity is not doing so badly like we want to make it look. We need to appreciate what the government does. These are schools where our own children go to, and we need to stand with them in solidarity. So we thank you very much for taking your children, of course, to school, especially the Ugandan curriculum. And without further ado, because I know we are all engaged, we would like to take this congregation to a moment of entertainment. The children have something special for you. Before we can excuse you, we also know that you're engaged. We would just like to use a few minutes for them to entertain us, and then we can get to the end of the function. Are you leaving? Would like to take
wabo bebali wabo ngalo oluyimba lunyumire ngoma abazinyi betale bebali wabo
Yo, another hand clap. Good Times Infant School, Kawala. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the children. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. We are so, so honored. Girls and boys, you have made our day. Clap for yourselves, oh my God. The administrators, the teachers, parents who have sent their children, this is a talent that nobody can stop. No one can stop this kind of talent. We thank you for everything that you have done for the preparation. We were in school and these things used to take over 2 months to prepare for, and then some houses would be the last. You remember very well. Are we together? So let's clap for these children again. Come on. All right, thank you. Is that all?
That is awesome. I used to be a Maganda dancer. Can you give me 5 other dancers?
All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Identifying, identifying. Thank you so much. All right, so we can get back to our places. Are we going back now? Are we going back? Master, are we going back? Yeah, you can now move. Thank you so much. Let's clap for them as they move. Let's clap for them. Let's clap for them. That is the energy that we are looking for. The energy we are looking for. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, I know we are out of time and we want to try to make it snappy. Thank you for being with us. We had to take a very, very small commercial break. We thank you for respecting the children. You could have chosen to leave, but you have opted to stay with us. We don't take it for granted. We thank you. We have a very big burning issue, and Uncle Sam requires to take some questions. It's a very, very out-of-the-book kind of arrangement on how we operate, but we also respect everybody, and we know that he has asked to leave. But there's some very, very critical questions that need to be asked of him. And we would like, of course, to just pass you the mic, and then you can as well give us some answers, and we can see how to move. One of the questions that has come from one advocate online called Asimwe Justice. He says, in light of the role of the JSC as a link between the people and the judiciary, what are they doing about the situation in Masaka, and where the population of, what are they doing about the situation in Masaka where the population of over 2 million is acutely undeserved by a single judge and registrar who are paralyzed by a backlog of more than 4,000 cases? Why are you insensitive to the people's plight? Why are you insensitive to the children's rights at stake in this situation? Why do you just sit there, kill people's complaints, and bury people's cries? Doesn't this show that your inspectorate, monitoring, and intelligence gathering capabilities fall short of the constitutional standards? I'm sorry, it was a long question. I'll just run through it again for you to catch it. You okay? You mind taking it on? There is a microphone. Where's the microphone? Ladies and gentlemen, you pardon us. We beg your indulgence. There was a very technical issue we needed to address in regard to what I just spoke, in regard to our panelists being engaged. We are going to try to mix it up and try to address a very critical issue. We have consulted from the panelists, and they have allowed for another issue to be brought onto the table, which of course was supposed to come in a little after. And we want to try to use this opportunity to introduce the next item that was supposed to be discussed. And we beg that you give us a little bit of your attention. This is about the Greater Massacre strike by lawyers who laid down their tools or decided not to go to court until some issues of theirs are addressed. The recent lawyers' strike in Greater Massacre, of course, it highlights pressing issues affecting the judiciary, including shortage of judicial officers and the soaring backlog of cases. This debrief outlines the key concerns and potential solutions that the Uganda Law Society, of course, is trying to address using the Uganda Law Society Massacre chapter team, which has representation with us over here today. And today we are going to use the opportunity. It began last week, and they have been on different social media spaces. We thought it right as well, because they are a part of us. We thought it right to host them today and enable the society, the public, as it is supposed to be a public engagement, to bring this issue aboard. And without further ado, we are going to hear from our own member who is in the house, who is going to represent the members who have striked, and they're going to be spoken about. And we have with us the head of the Massacre Uganda Law Society chapter, who is a managing partner and the founder of Zanda Advocates. He is a notary public, he is a commissioner for oaths, and he is an advocate just like any of us, but he has taken the mantle to lead the Massacre chapter. And before we go so far, we would like to hear much more from Counsel Lule Alexander. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause.
In community, when there's a problem, the sounds of the drums are heard. In Massacre, we refer to that as Gwanga Moje. That is the theme of our operation. Most distinguished members, protocol observed. I am Lule Alexander, as already told to you by the speaker. I stand before you as the leader of the Massacre Bar Association to address a critical issue that has plagued our community for far too long. Despite our persistent efforts to engage with the judiciary top management and other leaders, the severe shortage of judicial officers in the Massacre